All right, folks. Today we are going to do a bake-off. We're going to do a bake-off between 4 different large language models. We're going to use GPT 3.5 Turbo through the ChatGPT interface, GPT-4, also from OpenAI, through the ChatGPT interface. We're going to do Bing with the ChatGPT-4 integration. And we're going to do Google's Bard using their Palm model. So let's go ahead and first talk about the questions we're going to use. We've got a series of questions here. The series of questions are informational in nature for the most part. Some of them are generative. So let's look at these questions. What do you know about marketing expert Christopher Penn? Simple factual question to see what each model knows and the quality of each answer. What is the better platform for managing an online community? Slack, Discord, or Telegram? Infer the first name and last name from the following address, email address. So we're doing a sort of logic test there. We have a adversarial question here. This one is, who was president of the United States in 1566? The answer, of course, we all know it was none because the country did not exist then, but that is an adversarial question attempting to trick the machinery. We have an academic question. There's a belief that after major traumatic events, societies tend to become more conservative in their views. What peer-reviewed published academic papers support or refute this belief? Cite your sources. There are about 3 or 4 well-known papers. So this is again, a logic check and a factual check. Is a martini made with the vodka actually a martini? Why or why not? Cite your sources. This is an opinion question because opinions vary, and there is technically a right answer. Martinis need to be made with gin, but you can have a vodka martini. But that's more of an opinion question. We'll see how it does. You will act as a content marketer. This is a generative question. You have expertise in SEO, search engine optimization, search engine marketing, SEM, and creating compelling content for marketers. So we're loading up the keywords. Your first task is to write a blog post about the future of SEO and what marketers should be doing to prepare for it, especially in the age of generative AI. So this is a generative question. Who are some likely presidential candidates in the USA in 2024? Make your best guess. We'll see how it does with that information. What are the most effective measures to prevent COVID? This is a factual question, but there's a lot of misinformation online. So we want to check the quality of the responses. The answers we are looking for are masks, ventilation, and vaccination. What is the best way to poach eggs for novice cooks? Again, just a domain question, and the novice cooks part is important. And then finally, another data generative question. Make a list of the Fortune 10 companies. Return the list in pipe delimited format with the following columns: company name, year founded, annual revenue, position on the list, and website domain name. So we've got a lot of these questions. We're going to do the bake-off, just go through each of these questions one at a time through all 4 engines. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with the question about me. I'm going to put that into GPT-4 and put it into GPT 3.5. Oh, you can only use one instance at a time. All right, so let's put this into Bard and put this into Bing. So let's go ahead and see now how is Google. Let's actually go here to GPT-4. Start with that. Let's see. Christopher Penn is a marketing speaker, blah, blah, blah. Yep. As my knowledge cutoff date in September 21, co-founder, chief data scientist at Trust Insights. That's correct. Extensive background in digital marketing, SEO. Yep, that is correct. Data driven. Let's see. Those book names are correct. I do speak at events. All right. So far, the GPT-4 one looks pretty good. This is a very slow model. But it is the most, I think, the most accurate model, the one that's least likely to hallucinate. Okay. So far, so good. GPT-4, good job. Let's go ahead and check out Google Bard. Christopher Penn is a marketing expert who works with some of the biggest brands in the world, including Google, Amazon, and Microsoft. No. Author of the book Marketing the Age of Google. No. I am a frequent speaker at conferences. I have not found agency market motive. Let's see if there's an actual result. You'll notice here that there are no clickable links. I have to actually Google it. And let's go ahead and Google this without personalization, just in case there actually is. So there's the deceased actor. There's me. There's me again. This is logged out. This is also me. So Bard has pretty clearly hallucinated pretty badly, actually. So let's go ahead and check out Bing. Let's see. We have analytics, marketing, data, technology, data science. I like this. You can see when you hover over in Bing, there's the sources. This is correct. This is correct. So Bing also did a great job. So far it is 1 point for GPT-4, 1 point for Bing, and 0 points for Google. I probably should have a little scoreboard. Let's go ahead and do this next question now, which is the better platform for managing an online community? And let's go ahead and get GPT-4 working. Actually, I'm going to switch to GPT 3.5 because it's faster. No. Let's stay with 4. Let's stay with 4 because it is the model that people are paying the most attention to. We'll go ahead and close this other tab. All right, so it's going to get churning on that. While let's get Bard ranking away here. Let's get Bard going and then get Bing going. All right. See, this is very interesting with Bing. You can tell that it's not using GPT-4 as the language, as the data source. It is essentially querying its own knowledge base first, getting the results, and then putting that through the language model to craft the content itself. This is a very clever implementation of the GPT language model. Okay. Slack was designed primarily for work in teams and professional communities, whereas Discord is often used by groups of friends. Discord is ideal for online communities, while Slack is better for businesses. Telegram is another platform. Each platform has its own strengths and weaknesses. That is a technically correct answer. It's not a satisfying answer, but it's a technically correct answer. Let's see. Yep, again, same. If you're looking for a platform with secure and private, Telegram may be a good choice. I would argue that Discord is also a decent choice. Let's go ahead and see how GPT-4 is doing. No one size fits all. Here's a brief overview of the 3 platforms, pros and cons. Highly organized, robust research capabilities, limited in the free version, less suitable for large public communities, initially created for gamers, engaging experience, can be overwhelming due to its feature interface, less focus on professional communities, good for large public communities. And then Telegram, we have high emphasis on privacy and security, supports large groups and channels, limited in terms of integrations, customization. So this is interesting. Bing and Google both gave satisfactory answers that I would say would be acceptable, right? Google doesn't cite any sources here. You have to Google it separately. Bing cites a bunch of different sources, which I think is very handy because you can decide, is this a trustworthy source or not. I also do like the fact that it returns some videos there. And then, of course, OpenAI returning a really, really robust answer. I'll give all 3 a point for this, but I will say that I think in terms of, not credibility, but in terms of thoroughness, OpenAI wins that round. But we're going to give them all 3 a point. Now, maybe I'll give OpenAI a +1. So let's do that. I need to keep score here. So we have Bing, Google, and OpenAI. In the first round, Google got a 0. Everyone gets a 1 here, but OpenAI gets a 2 because, again, that's a really nice, thorough answer that is very satisfactory to the end user. Remember, we're not looking at this from the perspective of marketers. We are looking at this from the perspective of, would an end user find this satisfactory? Number 3, infer the first name and last name from the following email address. Let's go ahead and get OpenAI cranking. Let's get Bard cranking, and let's get Bing cranking. See what this does. First name is Christopher and the last name is Penn. Good. We like that. Bing, you get a point. Got my clipboard here. Let's see. Google. First name address holder is Christopher. Last name is likely Penn. Is the same email as it is the same as the email address domain. I don't know what the heck that means, but you did correctly infer the answer. This is nice. OpenAI. Everybody gets a point on that round. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Who is president of the United States? So it's a hallucinatory question. So let's go ahead and get each one cranking away here. See what Google comes up with. Oh, sorry, this is Bing. Let's see who Bing comes up with. There was no president of the United States, was established in 1789. So Bing gets a point for question 4. Put my coffee cup away here. Let's go ahead and check in on Google. There was no president of the United States. That is correct. And OpenAI also gets a point. I like this extra detail. During 1566, North America was inhabited by various indigenous peoples and was being explored and colonized by, that is correct as well. Everybody gets a point for that question. All right. There is a belief. Let's do the traumatic event and conservative views ones. Actually, let's go ahead and start a new chat because this is a very different question. So I'm going to go ahead and start a new chat here. Let's reset chat here. And let's go into Bing, clean up, and go here. So let's see what this comes up with. Interesting that Bing is having to run multiple searches to try and get an answer here. Let's see. We have APA, Scientific American, good sources, highly considered evidence to bolster the arguments of trauma therapists, forgotten memories. Okay, so there's some decent stuff here from APA. Let's go ahead and look into Google. There's a growing body of research, Journal of Politics, American Political Science Review, Journal of Political Science. September 11th, that is correct. I did specify cite your sources, and Google has not done that. American Political Science Reviews, third study of the British political science after the London bombings. Okay. And now let's go check in on OpenAI. Body of literature, evidence is mixed. Political consequences. I like this. This is good citation right here for trauma and political attitudes. Look, intergroup trauma, American support towards the war. Okay, so in the responses themselves, right, Google did not cite its sources. It mentioned them, but these are not citations, and just that's not particularly good. Bing, it's a toss-up on Bing because it does provide links to everything, but it doesn't put it in line. So I would say for this one, I'm going to give Bing a 0 because, again, we're looking for citation, not just commentary. And with OpenAI, you can go and Google these authors and find it. So OpenAI will get the point for this round. All right. Opinion question. Is a martini made with vodka actually a martini? Let's go ahead and get going. Go ahead and get all 3 of these. Okay. See, Google is thinking about it. Whether a martini made with vodka is actually a martini is a matter of opinion. That is correct. Some people believe it must be made with gin. Others believe it can be made with vodka. There's no right or wrong answer. I mean, technically, gin was the original spirit used in the martini, right? Vodka is a popular spirit. Vodka is a neutral spirit. Yep. Okay. So it is a matter of opinion. Google gets a point for this round. Let's go ahead and check in on OpenAI. The question of whether martini made with vodka is some debate, traditionally made with gin, vermouth. That's correct. Here's a few sources that explore this answer. The vodka martini, a brief history of the martini. OpenAI gets the point for this round. And martini is traditionally made with gin and vermouth, have vodka martinis. So technically speaking, a martini is not actually a martini, but rather a variation of it. So interesting. Bing gives a definitive answer. It's a variation of a martini. That's tricky. So I'm going to give everyone gets a 1 for the round. I'll give Bing 2 points because it is technically correct. Let's go ahead and clear our histories. Let's see, clear conversations and reset chat. All right, let's move on to the next question. You'll act as a content marketer. It's generation time. Let's go ahead and have Google tell us the history, the likelihood of the future of SEO, and go into Bing here. Let's clear everything up. Good. All right, let's take a look in. Now, OpenAI is going to crank for a while on this because it is a slower model. But what we're specifically looking for in this one is a couple things. We're looking for it to not just regurgitate old information. We're looking for something that evinces even the slightest hint of original thought. All right, here we have Google's. So Google is done already, which is impressive. Bing is done already. And then OpenAI, of course, is going to be cranking for quite some time. Let's read Google's history, future of SEO. Futures is constantly evolving. Create high quality content. Use keywords. This is like 2005 SEO. Building backlinks. In age of generative AI. Use AI powered tools. Rise of voice search, which was 5 years ago. Quality. Okay, so Google cranked out a fast article, but there's nothing here that's useful. This could have been written in 2010. So this, I'm going to give Google a 0 on this one. Yes, it did the job, but it did a pretty poor job. OpenAI is still working on it. Let's check in on Bing. Bing says the future of AI is rapidly changing with the rise of generative AI. It's increasingly important for marketers to stay ahead of the curve. Shift towards voice search, blah, blah, blah. Yep. Visual search, which again was about 5 years ago. Generative AI, think about the way of SEO. High quality content engaging. Okay. Again, cranked it out fast. But there's nothing new here at all. Voice and visual search. This is 5 years old. Okay, so let's go to OpenAI. We have a growing role of AI in SEO and SEM. AI becomes able to understand content, high quality content, the fast scrutiny of advanced AI algorithms. Semantic search and natural language processing. Semantic search it's not new, but it is somewhat helpful. There's the voice search business again, UX and Core Web Vitals. That was 3 years ago. Generative AI. I like that it cites itself in here. Preparing for the future of SEO. Use generative AI tools to assist in content creation. So if we think about this, if you go back here and look, so Google doesn't even attempt to tackle generative AI. Bing kind of does. And then OpenAI talks about using generative tools like GPT-4. I'm going to give OpenAI the point here. I'm going to give half a point because again, a lot of that stuff is old, right? It's not really new. Future of SEO, we should be talking about the content shock aspect, which is just a tsunami of generated content. All right, let's do some guessing. Let's play some guessing games. Let's go ahead and clear the chat. I probably should just get in the habit of clearing the chat after every query. So let's go ahead and reset the chat. And we're going to ask about future presidential candidates. Now, this has the potential to be hallucinatory. Will also be interesting to see, how it thinks about answers. The shaping up. Former President Trump, incumbent Joe Biden is likely candidate. Ron DeSantis, potentials. This is current as of March 2023. May get closer. Okay, that's a decent answer. I will give Bing a point for that. It is a very decent answer. Let's check in. Google says President Biden, former President Trump, Governor DeSantis, Gretchen Whitmer, Senator Elizabeth Warren, Senator Bernie Sanders. Yeah, Bernie runs all the time. I would say, again, Google gets a point for this. I think those are reasonable answers. Let's see. Interesting that there's some different answers from OpenAI. Kamala Harris and Kristi Noem are in here, as well as the big three. All three of these get a point. Interesting responses to the question. All right. Factual question that deals with misinformation. Let's go ahead and go into OpenAI. Hard and Bing. Okay. What are the most effective measures to prevent COVID from Google? Vaccination, wear a mask, Wash your hands is ineffective against COVID because COVID is airborne. Avoid crowds, stay home if you're sick, practice social distancing. Again, social distancing, it was kind of refuted after 2021, mainly because it's an airborne disease. COVID's like cigarette smoke. Yes, you're going to inhale a little bit less smoke being 6 feet away from someone, but you're still going to smell like smoke. But Google's advice is correct. It gets a point. Let's see. OpenAI is still thinking. And we have Bing, wear a mask, stay away from outbreak spots, frequent hand washing, improve ventilation. Interesting. Vaccines are safe and effective at producing illness, but is not on the list. Bing gets a 0. That is unhelpful advice. And wear a mask is correct. Improve ventilation is correct. Vaccination is the last line of defense and should be something that is important. It's missing from here. Okay. OpenAI, vaccination, hand hygiene, respiratory etiquette, face masks, social distancing, clean and disinfect regularly. That's all the fomite stuff from early on. Poorly ventilated spaces. Okay. OpenAI gets I'm going to give OpenAI 2 points because it nailed all 3. Ventilation, vaccination, and masks. So interesting that Bing's results kind of hosed that. I thought that was kind of interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and start a new chat here. Let's clean up our Bard chat. Our next question is, what's the best way to poach eggs for novice cooks? So Google gets going on that. Let's go to GPT-4. And let's go into Edge. Best way to poach eggs for novice cooks. Now, for a search engine, you would expect them to return some videos. I think that would be a very helpful thing to do. Let's see what happens. Bring a large pot of water to a boil. Crack an egg to a fine mesh sieve over small. Remove the liquidy whites. Transfer the egg to a small ramekin. Add vinegar. Slide the egg into center. The whirlpool is correct if you're doing it 1 egg at a time. And there's a whole bunch of videos. That is a terrific answer. We like that. Gotta give Bing a point for that. Let's see what OpenAI is still thinking. Let's see. We got Google here. Fill a saucepan, 3 inches of water. Add 1 tablespoon white vinegar. Reduce heat to low. Crack an egg into a small bowl. Slide into the water. Yep. Move with a slotted spoon. Tips. This is a good answer. This is a very good answer. Give Google a point there. No videos and no sources, but that's a good answer. And OpenAI, water temperature, add vinegar, crack the egg. Okay. I'm going to give OpenAI the point for that as well. It's taking a bit of time to think here. While it is thinking, let's take a look at the last question on our list. This is a generative question in a specific output format. So we're going to see if it can do this. Okay, you know what? We're good. I think we're good. Let's go ahead and clear conversations, new chat. And let's go ahead and put in the generation set chat to Bard and go to Bing. And we are looking for a very specific returned format here. Pipe to limited format, the company name, year founded, annual revenue, position on the list, and website domain name. All right. This is nice. This is looking good. I don't want the row numbers, but that's fine. Fortune 10 as of 2022. This is looking very, very nice. Bing gets full marks, full point for that. Let's go ahead and check in on Google Bard. Nope. Google gets a big fat goose egg for that one. Yeah, that's unhelpful. And OpenAI. So this is, again, it's run to the knowledge wall of 2021, which is fine. Format is looking good. So OpenAI gets full marks for that. So let's do some quick tallying. Bing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Did I do that right? 6, 7, 8, 9. So Bing gets 9 points. Let's do Google. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Google gets 7 points. And OpenAI, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 11, 12 and a half. So our final scores for the GPT-3 Bakeoff, or the large language model Bakeoff, is in first place, OpenAI's GPT-4 with 12.5 points. Second place, Bing with 9 points. And Google's Bard in third place with 7 points. I will say, OpenAI's models, the GPT models, they are not search engines. They're not designed to be search engines. They are designed to be transformers, generative AI models. That said, they are substantially better than the search engines in terms of the quality of results they return, in terms of the usefulness of the results they return. So that I think that's a really important thing to look at. I am surprised pleasantly by Bing. If chat-based search is the way to go for the future, if that's something that people are going to want to do, Bing does a really good job. It cites its sources. It makes its sources obvious from the get-go. Like when on the COVID example, you could see which sources it was drawing from. You're looking for authoritative sources. Bard doesn't have that. And I am equally surprised and shocked that Bard is so far behind, right? This is Google. This is the company that practically invented modern search. And yet they've really fallen far behind. Bard's results are unhelpful. There's a lack of citation. There are things that just flat out gets wrong. And yes, all of these are experimental. All of these are in development. All of these are moving objects. But if there was a company that would expect to get it right based just on the sheer amount of data that they have access to, it would have been Google. And instead, Google comes in third place in this Bakeoff. So I am surprised. I am disappointed in Google for sure. I'm not surprised by GPT-4. Yes, it is slow, right? We could probably do this with GPT 3.5 as well if we want to do that Bakeoff, but the quality makes up for it. And if I had to pick today a search engine to use for answers using chat interfaces, it would be Microsoft Bing. And I never in my life thought I would say that, because Bing has always kind of been this, the other search engine. It's like the other white meat. And yet the way they have engineered this with the GPT-4 library makes it really good. It is good enough that I would consider using it as a substitute for Google, particularly for complex queries where I want a synthesized answer that still has sources. So that is the large language model Bakeoff. I hope you found this helpful and useful. And I look forward to your feedback. Talk to you soon. If you like this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button.